Welcome everyone to another episode of the Financial Griot podcast. This is a shorts where we talk about a random topic, and it won't be long, so it probably won't take more than 20 minutes of your time, but it always has a good lesson. And today we're going to talk about people watching. I think, maybe, who knows? We'll see. My co-hosts are with me today. All of us, we've actually been doing really good. Alana's here, Lawrence is here, I'm here. It's about to be fire. Let's go.
I don't think it's people watching. I think people is attacking. At this point, it's personal.
Right. That's true.
Personal. It's personal. I'm just like,
what's
so we're
personal?
About to fight. We're just about to fight online. This
I'll
is what we doing. Like, we're just like,
let's just go outside.
I see you in real life. Let's go outside. You're not outside.
Yeah, it felt like that question that reporter asked Biden during that closeout of his student loan thing.
And
like,
he
but what about?
Yeah.
He turned around. What about what? Hey, I haven't just been, Joe Biden. I'm Joseph, man. Let's do this. Joseph.
Yeah, Biden been getting real spicy.
Yeah, the clapbacks, on the White House.
I'm like, tired of y'all. He is tired. He's
tired
of y'all. He's like, I'm done. I'm tired of all y'all.
Yeah, come on for me. Come for my life. Let's go.
But in context, we're talking about for this short, which is a random topic. It's just like, people watching, but also I'm just including people attacking online, right? So we all know the massive, breaking news alert with the student loan debt relief, as well as other news that's going on right now, critical news. But people are just taking it really personal, being bitter or saying it's unfair, but also just in general, right? Because you post something, and even though you have a different thought process or a different opinion, it's how people approach it. And they're almost like just taking it really personally. It's like, I know you in real life. Like, what are you doing? So why are you attacking me in these comments? I don't know what's going on.
Well, how do I say this? This is what I think. I think, to give you guys a little context, we are people that post on social media, right? So we kind of joke with each other. Lawrence is always coming for Atlanta about her going to HBCU. And I am the luxurious content creator, Instagram. Like, we joke around all the time. But what we are realizing as we're like becoming more like vocal about our journeys and our processes, some people are giving some backhanded comments. Like, Lawrence is getting eaten up in comments, from time to time. Next thing you know, they're going to be like, oh, Alana, so what about your YouTube? So you think you're somebody because you got a YouTube channel? Like, I think people, sometimes they want what you have and they don't know how to say, how did you get there? So the next thing is to kind of like, oh, you think you know it all, or you think you got this, you think you're whatever. And it's reality. I don't think I'm nothing. I'm just sharing my journey, bro. Like, that's all I'm doing. And if it takes offense, I see that all the time. Like, somebody will post that they went on a trip or did something, and you'll see somebody in the comments like, oh, you think you somebody because you went to Mexico, or you think you somebody because you went to Lisbon, you think you somebody. Like, no, I never said anything about me thinking I was anybody. I just sharing the picture that I was at this event. I think projection is real on the social media streets, and I think sometimes we're exercising some internal trauma, but that's just how I feel about it.
Me, I love, like, I'm chaotic neutral, and some people don't know what that means.
It fuels you.
Technically, I don't align myself politically. I'm not one of those people that went up and down. I'm very stoic with my personality. But ultimately, I like a little bit of chaos. I like to mess with somebody else because, like you said, it adds more energy to me. I find it funny. It really hurts the feelings, but I find it hilarious. I grew up in Miami-Dade. We take snapshots at you to a point where it's fight or die at that point. So if somebody comes for me, I always got a snappy comeback to kind of just make them really pissed. So in this scenario, this one guy on social media, after I posted about the student loan forgiveness, which is just factual information about what the thing happened, this one guy posted to me, I guess his name was the Sons of Liberty. He's I clicked on his profile because you all have to go click on the profile to eventually to see who's attacking you. And you find out it's just some white kid with a whole bunch of guns and I guess a whole lot of head cases out there. So he basically says all about saving till you get free handouts and others got to pay for your ish. I'm like, okay, LOL. If others pay down my stuff, I'm still saving. Win-win. I'll see you on the other side. And I sent him a message that said, hey, Mark safe from being bitter from student loan forgiveness. Like,
that post, I found it hilarious.
People didn't like that.
And then eventually, I didn't even know he replied. And now I actually see him reply. It says, forgiving is a fancy term for stolen. You're welcome for me helping you. And not only are degrees now basically useless, universities are just Ponzi schemes, things that he probably heard somewhere to make him feel good. And I doubt that he even went to college and university. To your point, a lot of people are projecting their own issues, insecurities, ideologies. And I just find it funny because I laughed at his statement. I give him 100%. I give him a thumbs up. Sometimes when I give you a thumbs up, it's me being a jerk to you. I'm just telling you, I'm giving you what you feel that is socially acceptable now. When you get a thumbs up, you get a like, it makes you feel good. I'm like, whatever. If that's what you're going to need to get you through the day, go ahead, because it's not affecting me in none in the slightest. Another person that I guess I typically get these things a lot with a lot of people that follow me on social media. They've seen my journey from not having money, just like they didn't have money, or sometimes they even have more money than I did. I started off in 2012, where, my first job making $23K per year. I publicized that. I let people know what it is. People were making 40, 50, 60, 70K. They were like looking at me like I was Joe Blows, whatever. And I was telling people financial literacy works, financial planning works, strategies work. And now me and my wife are upwards to, beyond $150,000 worth of wealth, multiple assets, $1 million worth of assets. And I'm feeling really good. I'm like, yo, I publicize this stuff all day, every day on the website, everything. And to your point, Atlanta, she posted something. And I came to her defense. With a simple comment. And this guy attacked me. It was a personal attack. He's like, oh, you're just a money guy. You this and this. I'm like,
he stick to money. I'm like,
stick to money. So he knows, he watches me. He doesn't like the stuff I post, or he don't like it. But instead of actually asking me how I could help him, or ask him, about his situation, he rather sit there bitter And after 10 years of doing financial literacy, trying to help people, I realized some people do not want to change. Mm-hmm. They just want free money. They want free money, and they just want to ball out. And they also want to almost ball out to other people too, which is the weirdest thing, because I have money. We still have the same car. We still stay in the same house. We don't really go out to show out on anybody. We're not at these all white parties. We're not doing it for the gram in a way that is trying to admonish other people or make fun of other people. That's not who we are. I'm teaching people about wealth because I generally want to retire early, and I just want to retire in another country. I want to travel the world. I want to do other things besides just work myself to death. That's it. There's no big plan about driving a Maybach. I'm not trying to get a yacht. I don't care about being on the yacht. I barely could swim. It's not that serious for me. I'd rather teach people to be as versatile with their money as possible. Seems like everybody frozen. Lovely, you still here?
Yeah,
I'm still here. I think we're just frozen.
And also think it's just a projection of how people truly feel of how someone else's life is. So when people are making those comments, you could kind of sense the underlying, personal attack or something along those lines of people just not paying attention to their own lives. And they're just going about doing things to just place, opinions on something that they don't even know for themselves.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of the biggest things that we just need to get and understand is that when somebody is projecting, that it's not even about you. The funny part was when I read the comment on your page and you posted, I knew that, oh, okay, that comment came from you watching our friend. You've been paying attention to his moves, and the moves is bothering you, because it's aggy, because I don't ever think that I've ever seen a post where Lawrence says I know everything about money either. He's always talking about, hey, this is my journey. Here's my process. Here's the learnings. This is my lessons. And I'm pretty sure that every year he's probably like, oh, I could have done this better. I could have done that. It's about improvement and progress. But just because I talk about something or I'm knowledgeable about something, I'm not saying that I know it all. And just because this area of my life is good doesn't mean that I'm saying that I know it all. But clearly you think, and that tells me what you think about money, what you think about where I am. when he said that, I was like, oh, you think that he's shitting on you. That's what it is.
And I've never done that. And I was like, to the point, this is why I kind of like, my comment was more like a deuces, I guess, because I'm not bothered by this on an emotional level. And I think some people also want to impart their own emotional issues to you. Almost like that power transition or transitive property of just like, hey, making you feel bad about something. I'm like, there's nothing to win here. Like, to his argument, I think his argument was about the whole, hey, you're not a geneticist. I'm like, but you're not a geneticist too. Like, I could feel like, doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? Like, he came for you as if, oh, the answers are not there. All I said is like, hey, majority of us, enslaved Africans came from that middle passage all the way to the West. Like, that majority of us will have that. That's all I said. Oh, you're not a geneticist. I'm like, I didn't have to be. Are you? Like, It doesn't make sense. So it's almost like all this, like you said, these little slights are because people are just angry about their own situation. And I think it's fairly sad, really, because we've been in that standpoint where that's how our lives used to be. Our environment that we lived in, that's what it always was. And that's why a lot of us never moved away from it, because we're surrounded by anger. We're surrounded by people that are not happy with the decisions that they made, or not happy with the way the circumstances of their own lives. And instead of actually focusing on things that could actually help them, they rather just toss out, I guess, hurtful things, or what they perceive to be hurtful to you. Right. People would probably call me anything under the book. I wouldn't necessarily do that. I just kind of leave it as is. Even in my most savage of responses, I never have anything personal in my heart against that person. If anything, I'd want the best for them. I want them to live better. Like, to that person that commented, I thought everything was good, bro. Like, I promoted his stuff before. I shared his stuff multiple times. Like, he never really shared my stuff, but I didn't take it personal. But yet he's still holding some level of personal grudge against me, even though I share financial literacy all the damn time.
That's what's scary to me. Not scary, but that's what's interesting to me. It's like one of those situations where it's like, bro, it's not that serious. And, it's crazy because it's like, I think that people don't recognize that how God is literally just doing what God does best, which is letting your gifts shine for you, letting those gifts be what they are. And I think sometimes if we focus on our own deaths and realize that I may not be the finance person, but I know somebody that is, and I can maybe use the skills that I have. Maybe I'm really great at earning money. I know how to create and generate income, but I may not know how to manage it. Oh, that person has a gift of being able to steward well. Let me take a note out of his page. And I think what we don't realize is human culture and connectivity is that when we put all our pages together, it creates a great book. But standing alone, it would be a very boring book. Like, this podcast would have been like, okay, yeah, I could come on and talk about all my stories, and Lawrence could come on and talk about all his stories. But what really makes it mesh really well is because there's 3 different perspectives and different ideologies and stuff. And then it gives it a greater taste. And I think so many people are just so freaking missing out. And because it screamed to me, and so somebody went like, Lovely, are you reading into this? I'm like, no, I'm not reading into it, but it screamed to me like this behavior is common. A lot of you are really upset. You guys are watching people do something that maybe you want to do. Try it. And sometimes you might realize that that's not even what you really wanted to do. You have something else, another gift. And I think, again, we talk about social media all the time, but I just think it's just an amplification of what was happening in the world anyways. We just not get to see it 24/7. I think the jealousy, the envy, also, it was always happening. It was always occurring. It is now just living on the interwebs, and it's magnified. But either way.
Exactly, magnified. Yeah.
It is what it is.
You would think, like, because there's a lot of people that I find to be very successful in what they do and where they are in life. Either they got notoriety. Some people got, they got books, or they got they're on Amazon bestsellers. They're doing these things, and you would think that they'd be happy or they'd be satiated, but you find that they're not, and you're like, whoa, you have all these people know you. You have way more followers than I ever have in my lifetime. People know you. People get, you're doing all this stuff, but you're coming for me as if I attacked you on these premises. Like, you're living a great life. And I think that's one of those things I'm learning recently, is that for some reason we're so unhappy and ungrateful with how far we even gotten. Like a lot of us, we came from pure, like we don't know it because we don't, I guess in the time we never called it what it was, but we were just above the poverty line. If we had to go back and look at the details, we were right above, maybe either at the poverty line or just above it. When I mean just above it, that's like $2,000 or $3,000 above it. That's it. That's where we came from. Where fridges didn't have a lot of like stuff in there. Some of us had roaches in our homes because, hey, we didn't have that much fumigation where we were staying at. Like, this is some real stuff. We had to count, pennies to make sure that the gas was still going. There's a lot going on.
Exactly. But I think it's locked in. I hope everyone learned from this day forth after listening to this episode, like, yo, put in the work, be happy with you, make your progress. Like, that whole idea of like me versus me, like I think a lot of people say it,
still in poverty,
but at the end of the day, I don't think we're really practicing it. Me versus me, daily, just freaking work on yourself so that you're not vomiting on these social media comments. Okay.
And I've always been advocates to stop people watching. Live your life. You don't know any part of the game because you're on the sidelines. If you're trying to learn, trying to evolve, trying to be the best version of yourself, you just have to get in the game. Any point or any start, you just have to start at some point of the other, and just being proactive and being happy in the process and your journey. So the people watching is not going to stop or slow down anyone that's continuously evolving, continuously growing, and just being the better version of themselves. It's not going to stop because I look at your comment, I laugh, I like it, and I move on. I go about my business.
I'm still in poverty, obviously, because my Wi-Fi not working. I'm still in poverty. I was trying to get deep too. It's like, yo, we were at the poverty line and it just like froze. God is like, hey, man. It
froze like this. He's like,
I just wanted to say that, like, we were at the poverty line. A lot of us moved away from that. Either we're working class or even middle class. We have food in the fridge. I think we could really kind of slow down and really bask in our lives are not as hard as they used to be. And we could be happy there. I know it's crazy, but you could literally be happy right then and there. But a lot of us are still so ungrateful or can't see the forest for the trees anymore that we find everybody else to be like against us. We awfulize things. We say, oh, he or she doesn't call me because they don't like me. Like, you don't know that. Maybe they're just dealing with their own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Or he or she doesn't like my stuff on social media, so they don't like me. Like, what are you talking about? No, the algorithm, son. Like, I don't see you, bro. Or I don't see you, girl. Like, it is what it is. Like, sometimes I see you, sometimes I don't. So it's interesting to see that. And it's interesting to internalize it into these negative things. But I'd hope that for anybody listening, before my Wi-Fi cuts off, that, hey, you just find happiness within yourself and not to engage too hardcore with people because they're dealing with their own issues. To Atlanta's point, sometimes you just gotta like, hey, thank you for your comment, or thank you. You slap it with a thumbs up, and then you walk away because at the end of the day, it's not worth it. If you ain't paying me, I ain't with it. Like, this is poor people stuff. Like, I can't do this no more. And maybe it's the comments like that gets them pissed. Like, he's like, yo,
yeah, realize when you tell somebody like no problem. Like the other day, like I was talking to my aunt and I was saying something to her, and I had told her that a lot of times what people are moved by or upset with me is like when I'm done with it. Like I asked you whatever it was and I moved on. Moved on. And she's just like, some people take it like, why you're not waiting for the answer? I'm like, you said no. So what else? I'm not going to try to convince you. Like, I think a lot of people are hoping that when they make comments like that you're going to be like, oh, no, that's not what I'm trying to say. No. Okay. No problem. Moving on. And it's like, oh, you're being dismissive. No, I just don't want to engage because the energy for this is unnecessary roughness. And if anybody knows me well, I hate unnecessary roughness. Like, why?
It takes too much of energy and too much of time. It's like, outside of these social media handles and everything, I really don't care. Like, it's all smoke and mirrors. A lot of people are truly not happy with their lives. They're not happy what they're doing. And like you mentioned, Lovely, earlier is, placing so much of your success or whatever that you're doing or just feeling your purpose. People bask in the hate in that. even eternally,
Right.
right? So like outside of that, in real life, I'm living, I'm thriving, I'm trying to do the best that I can. And people are just sitting on those issues that is projecting in comments, projecting and not sharing information or whatever they're doing. And I leave it as that. Like, I'm not about to, it's not even worth it anymore. Like, who cares? Like, I really don't care. You know, sometimes you have to have the attitude in order to protect yourself, in order to just, you know, be grateful about your life. Like, I'm not you. I don't have those emotions. I'm actually in a better state.
And that's good to know, because I think there's also that element of like, oh, I don't function that way. And you kind of walk away real slow. Like, oh, I kind of don't vibe with those type of mindsets and things. But we're going to wrap this up. It was there's a good lesson in all of this, is just making sure that you kind of settle within yourself, you know who you are. And at the end of the day, like, we all have stuff, but you don't have to keep carrying it. That's just the thing. You don't got to keep carrying it. You can actually let it go, embrace a different way of living. In real life, we want to know that people are happy and good. You don't know when God's going to call your time. Like, that's it. So every day, try to like really realize like what's making you good and what's not making you good, so that you can go ahead and really live a life that's full, not necessarily pseudo. Be happy, be well, be joyful, find the things that make you smile and bring you massive joy. So that's my 2 cents about it. And you can find me on Lovely Mardellis all over the internet. Tongue tied. You can find me at Lovely Mardellis all over the interwebs. And that's it for me.
Yeah, you can Google me because I'm that important. So Lawrence Delva Gonzalez, Google me and you find news clippings and all that good stuff. But ultimately, you can find me on the IG, the Neighborhood Finance Guy, or even on my website, where I have tons of good content, resources that you can use, or even financial plans to change your life. And it's for free. As crazy as it is, not everything has to be a sale, at least not for me. And even if you're, not happy where you are financially today, you could be later. I for a second there, I thought it was froze because I didn't see Atlanta move.
Did I pay the bill?
It happened again.
This was an awesome short episode. You can find me on IG streets at Atlanta_Elson. That'll also be included in the show notes. Also, don't forget, guys, make sure you review and like this episode, and also share it amongst your friends. Thank you so much for tuning in to another great episode of TFG. We're out.
Thank you for listening to the Financial Griot podcast, powered by the Wealth Builders Collective.